Welcome guys to the Me Damien channel. I am Damien, and today's live stream we're going to be focusing on the altcoins and some meme coins that have been doing pretty well this weekend. Some of these coins have done well, and they might continue to do well here, especially if Bitcoin is threatening to make new all-time highs here. Let me know give me a sound check, guys. Let me know what the volume's like right now. Okay, I can actually hear myself. All right, cool. Yeah, but I mean, some of you guys might want to take the other side of the trade if we had, you know, a pretty awesome run here on some of these meme coins, and Bitcoin actually makes some lower highs here on the chart. You know, because we will take a look at Bitcoin later on in the live stream, but I want to focus on the meme coins and the altcoins right now that are doing pretty good right now. But I mean, there could be some reason for caution here. If these meme coins and altcoins are running and Bitcoin's not able to continue going up to higher prices, that could be, in my opinion, a sign that we're at the end of this bull run rally that we just had for crypto. So we'll take a look. But let's first start here with Bonk, which is up 18% today. Had a pretty good weekend so far. You can see we had a few good on the daily chart here. We had a bunch of green candles here, starting since Wednesday, July 2nd. We saw Bonk go up 15%, then it went up another 6% on Thursday, a modest 5% on Friday here, then 8% on Saturday, and then here we are on Sunday. We're up like 18% on Bonk. Okay, so Bonk, looking pretty good the last few days here. Mainly because it's been beaten down. This was a Solana meme coin that's been around for a while, okay, all throughout like 2024. You know, we're looking at data from the Binance exchange here. This thing started trading back here around December of 2023. I think that's when Bonk started showing up on the exchanges here. And you know, it had its stellar move up to the upside, only for it to then come back down. And then another stellar move up to the upside when we had like a little bit of an altcoin season on March of 2024, only for us to then come down. And it's been up and down, up and down. But then we had a really phenomenal run up here on Bonk, where we saw this thing get up to like, you know, 5,444 in November of 2024. But if you look at the price right now for Bonk, we're like half of that. Okay, we're at 2,235 right now on Bonk. And Bonk has been making lower highs and lower lows, like a lot of other altcoins and meme coins, but looks like word got out that Bonk has been beaten down too much here, and you know, we're finally catching some bids here on Bonk. And what I would like to see with Bonk is I want to see us get past some of these previous higher highs that it was trying to make back here in April and May. We got to get it past the 2,581 level here on Bonk, and then I would feel a lot more comfortable that Bonk is actually making, you know, that Bonk is actually making an uptrend here. Okay, we've got to get past this higher high here to what, 2,581. Let's see, today we got as high as 23.23, so we still got a little bit more work to do here, in my opinion, on Bonk. But good to see that Bonk is actually trying to catch some bids here. Seems like somebody out there saw the value in this and started bidding up the price on Bonk. Now let's go ahead and turn the moving averages, see where the resistance could be and the support. And on the daily time frame here, we do have the 200-day moving average, which is very important. A lot of traders and investors use this 200-day moving average. I highlight it in a red color for my my moving averages here. So this red line is the 200-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average is sitting at 1,872. We actually broke past that here on Saturday. We actually got a close above it, and that was enough for the traders and bots out there and whoever's following the price action on Bonk. They decided to push this thing higher today. We're up, you know, 17% right now on Bonk, but that's good to see. We now can probably use this 200-day movement as a area of support. If this thing does come down, back to 1872, I would expect it to maybe get a bounce off that level if it's going to continue to remain bullish here. You can see that we have gone above the 200-day moving average, you know, back in May here for Bonk, right? But yeah, Bonk wasn't able to close above it. Okay, so it was treating it as resistance. Now that we actually have a candle close, or we're probably going to get a candle close, another candle close here above the 200-day moving average. Can we actually use the 200-day movement as support? We want to use it as support rather than resistance. So we'll see in the next few days here. But let me go ahead and turn on the oscillator, so Bonk. Let's see how much more juice in the tank it could have if it's going to continue going to higher prices. You can see here in the RSI. This red line here is my RSI. We are currently trading at 73.7 on the RSI. Anything above 70 on the RSI is considered overbought, so this move is kind of overextended. There might not be any more juice in the tank to send us to higher prices as of now. So if that's the case, I would expect Bond probably go sideways at best, or maybe it comes down to that 200-day moving average at 1872. But yeah, stochastic RSI is also pretty high, and using my market cipher B, we did have a green buy dot here back in June 24th here. And I'm anticipating a red dot to come in at any moment now. Could be today, could be tomorrow. But when you see that red dot show up on market cipher B, this indicator on the bottom here, it's probably going to be, you know, a good time to cautiously sell your bonk position, knowing that this thing probably is going to come down if it does have a red dot. Okay, because last time we had a red dot here on this market cipher B was Friday, June 13th, and you can see that bonk actually did come down a little bit after that red dot came in. So we're going to be paying attention to see if a red dot shows up on market cipher B for bonk. That could be our signal to get out of bonk if we haven't done so already. I mean, I would probably think about getting out of bonk right now. You could always get back in again, especially if we come back to that 200-day moving average. But yeah, I would cautiously, I would sell something. If you guys made profits on bonk this weekend, let me know in the comments here. But I would consider selling. Not financial advice, but this was a pretty decent move, and you could always get back in again if you want to continue riding the trade. But I think it is time to take profit on bonk. Okay. Upside targets, we are still looking to see if we can get up to like 25.81, which is where we were back in May. And if we get past that, then maybe we come up to 27.80, which is where we have some support here back here in January, where we came down to these levels, and we're trading sideways at that level as well. Let me quickly turn on the VRVP, see what the VRVP has to say, and then we'll move on to some of these other coins here. All right. So yeah, if we get past like right here at 24,500 on bonk, there's a big gap in the VRVP, and we'll probably come right up to this white line here, this value area high at 3,100. So bonk could still have like a 50% move to the upside, even though it had a pretty crazy move this past weekend and past few days here. All right, guys, I have a list of coins that I want to look at, but then we'll look at some of your other coins. I am taking some user requests as well. We're going to look at Floki after this, ACS, DGen, and then Pengu. And then I'll take a look at some of your requests here. Let's see what I have here in the chat. Let me look at the chat here. Mar wants to look at Bitcoin. Mar, we're going to look at Bitcoin, but I want to take a look at these altcoins, because I made this like an altcoin live stream, and also like the meme coins as well. So we will look at Bitcoin, but I'll tell you right now, Mar, what I'm worried about with Bitcoin is we could possibly be making a lower high. So we'll take a look at the chart for Bitcoin, but we could be making a lower high on the daily chart, and that's a reason for concern and caution here. Okay. But yeah, I appreciate you putting that up there. We will take a look at that. And then I see D2 Miami wants to look at ZBCN. I feel like we look at that coin almost every live stream, but I will put that down. We'll take a look at that after a few other coins that I have here on my list. But appreciate that request as well. D2 Miami, thank you. I am doing a live stream here on TikTok and YouTube. If for some reason, guys, my TikTok stream goes down, you can look up my Meet Damien channel on YouTube. I do have a Meet Damien channel on YouTube. Let me just see if I can pull this up real quick. I gotta be careful when I talk about meme coins here on TikTok, because sometimes TikTok likes to take down my live stream. So if my live stream goes down, you guys can find me on YouTube, Meet Damien, and you can just continue watching the live stream there. Okay, I am live streaming on both YouTube and TikTok. Okay, all right. I just want to give out that disclaimer in case TikTok gets you know, funny with me. But anyways, yeah, let's move on to Floki, and then we'll take a look at ACS. All right. So Floki was another coin that was doing pretty well this weekend. Let's see how well it did. Floki right now is up about 13.3%. Let me get rid of some of this, some of these indicators for now. Floki, I believe, is another Solana meme coin as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, Floki had some of his best days back in November of 2024, at least here on Coinbase Exchange. I think this should be more data than that, but we'll go with this for now. Floki had his best days back in November, December of 2024, and then it just made lower highs and lower lows. And I just feel like people are just going to scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to find out what coins are still undervalued right now. And it makes sense that these meme coins are starting to catch some bids now, because how much lower could they possibly have gone? We've seen here with Floki that the bottom looks like it came in here in April when Trump did a pause on tariffs, 90-day pause on tariffs. And that sent a lot of assets up, including Floki. You can see that after that, Floki bottomed out, and we made a higher high, higher low, higher high. But things kind of like fizzled out here towards the middle of May. Middle of May was when like Bitcoin was like making its new all-time highs again, where it was like going up to like $110,000, $112,000. All right, so you know, Floki was able to catch that ride up. But then now Floki is actually making lower highs, lower high, lower high. Could this be just another lower high? I don't know. All right. So if you're bearish on crypto and bearish on meme coins here, then you know, maybe you can start looking for some shorts here. Okay. Just know that you might get stopped out and pushed out. I'm not sure where you would put the stop loss on your Floki, unless you want to put it like right here. You know, you probably put it like up here past the candlewick high on June 9th here, where we saw Floki get up as high as 10.28. But I would probably just wait a little bit, see how much more momentum this thing has before I would start shorting. I wouldn't really start shorting it right now, but if you want to be shorting it right now, you are taking an aggressive short, okay? But it could still play out for you. Let's go ahead and throw on the moving averages. Moving averages for Floki, right? We're now just starting to get a 200-day moving average showing up here on the chart. Can't really do much with that, but maybe you could use this as a resistance level at 974. Might be where Floki might get some resistance, okay? That 974 is also kind of like where we were trading at here back on June 10th, right? Where we closed out that candle at 975. So maybe we get some resistance at that level. Be on the lookout for that, okay? But yeah, Floki looks like it just created a higher low on June 22nd here. And we want to see if we're going to respect that higher low and go to higher prices here. And we got to get above basically the middle of June here. We got to get above 975 in my opinion. And even better would be getting above this candlewick high at 1028. And then you can say that Floki's in an uptrend, okay, making higher highs, and then when you're looking for like a higher low here for Floki. All right. Let me go ahead and turn on the VRVP now, and I'll zoom out to gather some more data here. If I turn on the VRVP, what do we get? What do we got? So turning on the VRVP, you see that we have a point of control in the highest volume node here at like 990, 960. Okay, somewhere basically the same level, 974, 975, around that level is going to get some resistance if we go up to that level. That's where I would, if I was bearish on this asset, I would start placing some shorts and then maybe doing a stop loss at like 1100 on Floki. Okay. But yeah, Floki still has probably some room to go to the upside if it wants to, and it's probably gonna get some resistance at that 974 level. But if we get past 974 and 1000, then we get a drop in the VRVP, and you got maybe your next high volume node here at like 1262 could be some resistance. Then another gap, and then you got maybe some resistance possibly at 1385. And you just play the gaps in the VRVP, knowing that when the price gets past these high volume nodes here, and you get a gap, the gap is probably going to be where you shoot up to higher prices to the next level here. Okay. All right. I don't really have any downside targets on Floki. Looks like you have a high volume here at 700. If Floki does come down, maybe 700 gets respected as support. And then, of course, you got the low that you made here back on June 22nd when this thing got as low as like 600. So, we'll see. We shall see with Floki. And let me just turn on. I'm going to get rid of some of this price chart action here and some of these indicators here. But let's look at the oscillators. On Floki's RSI, your RSI is at 57. So Floki actually has some more gas in the tank to go to higher prices here, in my opinion. I think Floki could outperform Bonk, the coin that we just looked at. But yeah, I think Floki might be one to be worth looking at, especially if Bitcoin's going to go to new all-time highs. And if it does that later on this week, which it could possibly do, then Floki might be the one to be in, to be honest. I think Floki is just getting started. Alright, moving on to ACS, and then I'll take a look at ZBEC for my guy that wanted to request that. Appreciate that request. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys, if you haven't already, especially if you're enjoying the analysis here on these altcoins and memecoins. Alright, let's look at ACS. Access. So I chose to look at this coin, guys, mainly because it had a pretty solid day here. We had a nice green candle here on Saturday. This thing went up 32% yesterday, so why not look at it? All right, this coin is currently trading at 14,400, down about almost 1% today. So that's a little bit interesting, but it was actually up earlier. Before I started this live stream, this thing was at as high as like 18,400. So this thing was still catching some bids before I went live here. But yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at Access. Okay, I don't really know. I think this coin might be more than just a. I don't think this coin is a meme coin. I'm relatively new to this coin. Okay, I should have looked it up, but I didn't. But it's an old coin. It's just another coin that is not Bitcoin, okay? For those who need to know the definition of what an old coin is, it's just a coin that's not Bitcoin but is related to crypto. So this thing is just another old coin. And looks like this coin, once again, had an old coin season, had its best days in it actually had its best days in January of this year. And we had the highest candlewick highest candlewick here on January 30th, where we saw this coin as high as 45,000. Okay, so this thing took like a 60-70% drop from the highs that it made here in January, and of course it made lower highs, lower lows. It had to make lower lows if it's making lower highs, right? But it's been in a downtrend. Okay, long story short, I'm just giving you guys the big picture here as we get familiar with this coin. Looks like we made the lowest low for the year on June 22nd, after the United States, dropped bombs on, in the Middle East. We saw Access go down to 0.0010, so about 10,350. And then we also saw it get down to 10,371 on July 1st. So this could be a double bottom, which would be nice, and I think that's the reason. I think traders saw that and they were able to start pushing this thing up on Saturday. Okay. Now, if I turn on the moving averages, let's see what the moving averages are. Let's see if they're going to give us any resistance levels here. And yeah, of course, that's the reason why we got rejected today. We have a 200-day moving average sitting at about 17,588 on Access. And we got above that earlier today, and then we got rejected. So we're respecting the 200-day moving average as resistance, okay? And it looks like we're currently hanging out near the 100. Could act as maybe support. And then the 50-day could also act as support as well. 50-day sitting at 13,160. So if you see this thing come down to 13,100 and you're interested in getting in this coin, you can start putting in your buy orders in at that level. And if we're starting an uptrend on this coin, then you might be catching like the next higher low right over here. But I want to see Access get above that 200-day moving average and close the daily candle above that 200-day moving average. So the upside, the resistance is, and take profits going to be at 17,600 for now. And then I want to see us get above this other candle wick high here on April 26th, where we saw this thing as high as like 20,224. So that should be your second take profit target, 20,200, if you're going to play this coin to the upside here. All right. All right, let's take a look at the ZBCN for my buddy that made that request. And then after that, we'll take a look at the DGen and Pengu, because those coins were doing pretty well this weekend as well, I believe. Ooh, oh wow, okay. So I do have previous chart work here on ZBEC, but let me see if I can find a chart that's a little bit cleaner than this. We'll take a look at on Big Get. Yeah, this is what ZBEC looks like, right? On a almost naked chart here. I got the moving averages on, but this thing is trading at 2,400 and it's down 12.6% today. This is looking nasty in my opinion, okay? But maybe the moving averages right here could act as support for ZBEC. You got the lowest worst case scenario where this thing could go down to the 200-day moving average at 1867, and then maybe it doesn't go that low, but the 100-day could act as support at 2187. So I would start putting in some buy orders in, see if these moving averages get respected and we get support in that level. So I would start putting first I would try to reach for the stars and see if you can get this thing at 1867 on the 200-day moving average, and then I would see if maybe you could get filled at that 100-day moving average at 2187. Okay, and that would put you'd be basically buying where people were buying here in the first week of May, where we saw ZBEC. We saw ZBEC trading at as low as 1465 and around like the 1500, 1600 level here. Okay, so I feel bad for anybody that had to take a round trip on this, but it looks like we are doing a round trip back to the prices that we saw back in the middle of May here for ZBEC, ZBCN. So that's interesting, but it could be an opportunity for those who are bullish on this asset. You might be able to get some fill orders in where these moving averages are at. Let me go ahead and throw in the VRVP, see what the VRVP has to say about things. So yeah, the VRVP has a little bit of a high volume node here at 1800, 1900. Okay, so expect that to maybe get a reaction and we can bounce off at 1800, 1900. But I think this thing is still going to come down. The downtrend is looking pretty brutal here, pretty rough. Ultimately though, this thing could even go below that, and you got most of your high volume on the VRVP at 1000. So be careful, right? If I was to game plan this out, I would know that, yeah, maybe the 200-day moving average gets respected and we get support. But I would put a stop loss at like 1700 or 1600, just in case like the 200-day moving average gets violated and we come all the way down to like 1,000, you probably don't want to stick around. You don't want to lose. You'll end up losing more than 50% of your money on ZBEC if it does that. So I would try to maybe get filled at that 200-day moving average and put a stop loss below the 200-day moving average, knowing that this thing could come down lower if it wants to. I see John 316's in the chat. Appreciate you letting people know to smash the like button. If you haven't, guys, smash that like button. Let's show some support for my analysis here. I appreciate you guys hitting that like button if you can. All right. Let's see. I got some more requests here. Let me take a look at what I got here for requests. Arklow wants me to look at TRB Teller, and it's on Binance. Okay, let me take a look at that. I'll write that down. Appreciate the request here. And then let's see. Yeah, so let's see. Idris, is that just talking about ZBEC? You're saying that bro, why is ZBEC going down like really a lot? It's not even a meme coin. Are you saying you don't know, or you do know? And you're wondering if is it possible to go high soon? Yeah, let's hope that it stops going down soon. But yeah, I mean, put your stop losses in. Like I said, I would try to see if I could buy some more of it near the 200-day moving average. Watch if you're not able to buy more of it at the 200-day moving average, then maybe just hang tight and see if it actually gets support and a bounce off that 200-day moving average. If it doesn't, I would try to put the stop loss right below the 200-day moving average, because you probably don't want to stick around if this thing continues going any lower than that. Okay, yeah, you said you don't know why it's going down. Yeah, I've looked at ZBEC, and very interestingly, like, I feel like ZBEC goes down when Bitcoin's going up. But there might be something more to it. I gotta look up and do some research on it myself. I usually just stick to the charts here, but every now and then I'll look up coins that I'm interested in. And yeah, I think ZBEC is supposed to be related to like payroll, right? Payroll companies trying to get on board with crypto. So yeah, that's very interesting. You would think that with it having a decent use case, that it would actually go up, but this could just be a very valuable buying opportunity if this thing has a use case in the future. I mean, how much more of a discount deal do you want to get? But I think these moving averages might provide some support here, so I wouldn't really be all too worried unless we lose the 200-day moving average. All right, okay. So that's ZBCN. Let's take a look at DGen and Pengu, and then I'll take a look at TRB. So I think DGen is actually doing better than ZBCN here. Last time I looked at it. Ooh, I got some previous chart work here. Let me just hide this for now. Actually, I'll just delete it for now. So you can see that DGen is up 9.64% today. And DGen also had some of his better days here back in May. It caught some bids when Bitcoin was at $110,000, $112,000, and it got rejected off this 200-day moving average. This 200-day moving average was acting as resistance. I'm expecting that 200-day moving average to act as resistance again if we do go up to higher prices on DGen. But you could be just catching like this right here could be just another higher low here on June 22nd, where we saw this thing as low as 26.23. Let's see, 25.77, still a higher low. Okay, so this thing is still making higher lows, even just barely. It's still making higher lows, and hopefully we can see some higher highs being formed in the future here. We could get rejected off this 200-day moving average sitting at like 5,029. But then once we get past that, I want to see us get past this high here in May, where we saw this thing get almost as high as like 9,000. Degen could be your Degen play for the future here. Looking back, we saw Degen get as high as what? Almost 3 cents. This thing, if you know, let's just game plan this one out, right? If Degen was to get back up to 3 cents, how much of a percentage gain could that possibly be? A 695% gain? You could like almost like 7x your money with your an investment in Degen if it just gets back to where it was in November of 2024. Wow. Wow. That's really swinging for the fences there. But I can understand why someone would be interested at buying Degen at these levels here, because you can strategically come up with a stop loss and not have to lose a lot of money, but you have a lot of upside if this thing does continue to go up to higher prices here. And if I was to get into Degen, I put the stop loss, you know, right below this low here on June 22nd, where we saw this thing as low as 26.23. I probably put the stop loss at 2,500. Right now, you're risking, you know, if you were to do that right now, you're risking from where we are right now down to like 2,500. You are risking roughly 30% on your stop loss. You're risking 30%, but you're trying to hope for, you know, a double, a triple, or maybe like a 5x or a 7x on this coin. Might be worth looking into. And you can buy this thing on Coinbase too. So if it's on Coinbase, it's on just about any exchange. But let me go ahead and turn on the VRVP, see what the VRVP has to say about levels here. You got a high volume node here at like 62.44, so we could get some resistance at that level. But if we get past 62.44, then we could easily come up to 8,000 on this coin. So that's why I think this thing could possibly double. It could double if it just gets back to where it was here in May, right? And then if it gets past these levels here in May, then the volume starts to drop off, and I think you might have another high volume node here at like a penny and a half. But man, if you get up to like a penny and a half, I think that's like almost like a 4 or 5x. So something to keep in mind if you looking for that 5x. Degen might be the one for you. All right, yeah, John 316 is asking me about Bitcoin, and Mar also asked me about Bitcoin. I think now might be a good time to look at Bitcoin. We focused on the altcoins and the meme coins for the beginning of this live stream. I did say that we were going to look at Bitcoin, so at some point, and I think now is a good time because John just put in requests and so did Mar. So let's look at Bitcoin right now. All right, Bitcoin currently trading at $108,800 right now. And let me get rid of the VRVP for now. And this is what I have for chart work on Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin was making lower highs. The highest high was on May 23rd, where we saw Bitcoin as high as $112,000. And then it made a lower high here on June 9th at $110,651. And then it was almost about to make another lower high here on June 29th, June 30th, where we saw Bitcoin as high as like $108,550. But then we caught a bid on July 2nd, and Bitcoin actually broke this downtrend that we were in, this yellow line here. And then after it broke the downtrend, it did a really nice thing. It actually came up to like $110,650, which is a line that I put here because that was the previous high, the lower high here on June 9th, where we saw Bitcoin as $110,651. We actually came close, but not really. We didn't actually get up to $110,650. On July 3rd here, Thursday, July 3rd, we got up to $110,590 and then got rejected. So technically, we're still making lower highs here on Bitcoin, which kind of, you know, it gives the bears a reason to get louder and say, yeah, Bitcoin's topping out again, okay? So I don't like that. I like the fact that we actually came up to it, but I wanted to like actually close. I actually wanted to get higher than $110,650. I wanted us to get up to like, I don't know, $110,800 or $111,000. That would have been nice to see. And then, you know, we would actually be at higher prices, I think, if Bitcoin actually got up to $111,000, but it didn't. Okay, so this is a technicality. This is going against the Bulls, okay? This is like a foul here, okay? And the Bears, they get the ball and they can run this thing down on us, okay? However, the Bears could have ran this thing down, and they tried to run it down here on 4th of July. But look what the Bulls did. The Bulls defended here on Saturday. We got a bounce off of this this downtrend line here. That's good to see, okay? And here we got a little bit of follow through on Sunday, July 6th. We just need to keep pushing up to higher prices here, and then try to threaten to get up to that 110,650 level for Bitcoin, and actually close at that level, or even get higher than that and close higher than this red line here. This red line is where the Bears are most likely putting their stop losses at, okay, if they're shorting it. And if we can just push through and eat up those stop losses, we can get the liquidity that we need to actually go up to $112,000. Now let me go ahead, since I mentioned that, let me go ahead and actually look at the liquidation heat map and see what that shows here for Bitcoin. First, I'm gonna give my little selfish plug here. You know, guys, I have a Meet Damien Twitter. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter here and stay in touch with me, check out the Meet Damien Twitter here. Okay. Well, you'll see me post up when I'm going live. Like today, I just said I'm going live at 12 p.m. Eastern time. If you guys want to figure out when I'll go live next, especially for my TikTok guys. I know you guys have a hard time figuring out when I go live, and this is just a good way to stay in touch with me. Go on my Twitter, Meet Damien Twitter, and you'll find out when I'm going live next. Okay. But now that I made that shameless plug there about my Twitter, let's go to the liquidation heat map. See what the liquidation heat map is showing for Bitcoin. So we got the liquidation heat map. What is this? I want the 24-hour chart. Okay. So here we are on the liquidation heat map. This is very interesting. I don't know why we're not getting more volume here, but we do have, to the upside, we do have shorts are putting their stop losses, and we have liquidation at 109,875. Okay. So the shorts are putting their stop losses at that level. This is interesting. I thought we would get a little bit more data. Let me go into the we'll look at the 1 week chart here for liquidation heat map. All right, this looks a lot better and a lot more normal than what I normally see here. But liquidation heat map is showing that there is some liquidation at 110,500. Okay, we got $143 million worth of shorts that could get liquidated if we get up to that price for Bitcoin. Okay. So that's where the shorts are putting their stop losses at. That's where some of them are going to get liquidated if they don't have stop losses. Okay. And that's all we need to do, right? We got to get Bitcoin up to 110,650. And then you might see Bitcoin go off to the races again and make new all-time highs. But right now, that 110,650 level is your resistance. Because the previous highs, candlewick highs at that level. Okay? So this red line, the bulls need to push through it and violate the shorts and actually get some higher prices here. If we come back to that level and we get rejected again, then ooh, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good, because then that's going to confirm like almost like a double top or a triple top, and the bears are going to take the ball and run with it, and we'll probably see Bitcoin come right down to maybe like $105,000 or $104,000, where we have a lot of sideways price trading. A lot of sideways price action and trading going on at that level. If I turn the VRVP one more time here, okay, you got right now the POC at 104,900. So I'm expecting if Bitcoin does come down, you could get some cheaper Bitcoin. All right, what is this? Norton, get out of here. Thing is popping up on me. Yeah, so the POC could be a line of support here if Bitcoin comes down. A lot of people bought Bitcoin at that level So right now they're in profit, and if it does come down to that level at $105,000, they would just be break even, okay? And then if we lose $105,000, then it could get a little bit nasty, and we might come down to this value area low, this white line at $102,300 Bitcoin. But one level at a time here, one level at a time. I think if Bitcoin does come down, you'll get some people excited to buy Bitcoin at $105,000. Okay? All right. Max Payne saying that we won't test 110. Is that a statement or a question? Max Payne, you're also saying that trading signals sell good today. All right. Corey the Palm. I don't know what Corey the Palm means. Is that a request? And then Arklo saying back tested the downtrend and a breakout. Yep. And Mara's asking about Pengu. Yep, we're gonna look at Pengu after this one, and then we'll look at TRB. And then D2 Miami wants a request for Propi. Okay, I got you, or Propi, however you say it. I think the official way to say it is Propi, like property. But I got you, bro. All right. And then Idris was saying that all the meme coins are up today, but if it goes down less than 20, then you'll sell now and buy it at 20, then sell at 25. All right, yep, that's one way to trade it. Oh, and you're thinking ZBEC is going down because they lied about their partners, who they're partnering up with? That's not good. Transparency and reputation means a lot, especially when it comes to people's money and business here. So that's not a good way to start off your business. All right, so yeah, I think if Bitcoin continues being bullish, we'll retest the 110,600 level. And we'll just have to see if Bitcoin's able to break past that, okay? So I think Bitcoin is probably going to go sideways between where it is right now to 110,650, and then we gotta, it'll be, the fireworks will get lit off if we can get past 110,650. We'll see Bitcoin start making maybe a new all-time high again. Let me get rid of the VRVP for now. All right, let's look at we'll look at Pengu and then ZRB. John, I just saw your comment right now. My thoughts on Bitcoin price top this cycle. I think Bitcoin can still double from where it is right now. Man, I just got off the Bitcoin chart. I went to Pengu, but I do see that the Pi cycle top indicator is like I think like $150,000. So I think Bitcoin could have, at the very least, go to 150K later on this year. I'm not going to put a time stamp as to when that's going to happen. I'm not from the future. I can't really tell you what's going to happen in the future, but I think Bitcoin can get up to $150,000 as a realistic target, and then $200,000 is also a possibility as well, in my opinion. All right, Pengu. Looking at Pengu, currently trading at roughly a penny and a half right now. Let me get a swig of water. Hold on a second. Pengu down 2.5% today. Pengu had a nice run towards the end of June here, going into the first week of July. Looks like we topped out here at 17.017 pennies on July 4. And we're finally getting some red candles here. And I think the reason why that might be is because we actually had a candle wick high here on May 14th, where we saw Pengu get up to 0.0175 pennies on May 14th. So that could be a double top. Ooh, not good. Okay. If this is a double top, then that means we're most likely going to go down on Pengu. Okay, so if you guys haven't made profit on Pengu, then or if you, I'm sorry, if you guys have made profit on Pengu, I would start taking those profits right now because this thing might come down on here. Let's go ahead and look at the oscillators right now. Yeah, look at the RSI here, this red line. Okay. We had an RSI on July 3rd of 75.64. And anytime you get above 70 on the RSI, you're overbought, right? Look what happened back here when we were overbought here in April. Okay. We had to go down. We went sideways actually, but then when we got overbought again on May 10th here, okay, we were at like 75 on the RSI. We came down on price, right? That was the highest high up until now. But like, yeah, when you're in the 70s or the 80s on the RSI, you need to click that sell button because you're most likely going to be topping out soon, okay? So I think Pengu is topping out right now, okay? What you could do is you could look for a short right now. You could short Pengu, put your stop loss at like 17, you know, we'll just say 17,000, okay? 17,400 or 17,500. And you could just bring this thing right back down, you know, to maybe the moving averages support here. You get the 50-day sitting at 1,000, right? About a penny, okay? So let me get rid of the oscillators, and then we'll take a look at we'll do a Fibonacci retracement here from the swing high to the swing low. If Pengu does come down, right, most likely, I mean, if it's really bullish, it will respect this penny and a half level, this 0.786 retracement level on Pengu. But if it's not bullish as F, and if Bitcoin's not going to all-time highs and causing these altcoins and meme coins to go crazy, then this thing could come down, you know, especially if Bitcoin's going down in price. This thing could come down to the 618 retracement at like 13,640. Okay, this golden pocket here. It can make an even deeper retracement and come down to this 0.5 retracement level at 12,530. So if you're trying to short, you know, Pengu, you put your stop loss, you know, at 17,300, and you're just taking this down all the way to the 618 retracement. That'll be your first take profit. Your first take profit on your short, and then your second take profit is going to be right here at the 0.5 at 12,530, and then your third take profit, you could probably ride this thing down to about a penny. And maybe, yeah, definitely a penny, the 0.236 retracement. But I'm expecting you should definitely, if you're shorting this thing, definitely take profit at that penny level. Because you got the 50-day moving average, this is going to act as support. And then you got the 0.236 retracement. The Fibonacci traders are also eyeballing that level. So a penny should be support for Pengu. And then the bulls can take the ball and start running it back on the shorts. Okay? Just like football, right? All right. So that's Pengu, and I gave you the upside, downside targets. I'm more bearish on Pengu than bullish, but if Pengu is creating a higher low here at the penny and a half level and goes to higher prices because Bitcoin's going to all-time highs, then you got a 1618 that says this thing could get up to like 2 pennies, 0.023 pennies to be exact, if you're using the Fibonacci here. All right, let's look at TRB. And then we'll take a look at Prop B. Appreciate the requests. Guys, if you haven't hit the like button, don't forget to hit the like button. And guys, if you have some friends and buddy of yours that are trading crypto, go ahead and share my live stream. Share my channel. Let them know that, hey, we talk about crypto here. And I like to think I have some pretty good chart analysis here. But yeah, if you feel comfortable sharing it with your friends, I appreciate that as well. Go ahead and get the word, get the name out. Meet Damien. Has some pretty good technical analysis here. All right, we'll take a look at TRB on Coinbase Exchange. Tello. Looks like I got some previous chart work here. We have looked at this thing before. We're currently looking at TRB trading at $36.78, up 0.68%. Pretty modest, pretty modest. I'm just zooming out here so you guys can see where this thing has been. Okay, this thing has been the higher prices, obviously, in January 2024, when we had like a little bit of an altcoin season back then. Okay, but yeah, this thing has been making lower highs, lower lows, and I mean, is it done going down? As I start zooming back in here into 2025 here, looks like we saw the lowest lows here on April 7th at $19.48. And then we had the 90-day pause on tariffs. Assets started going back up again. We had a really good May because Bitcoin going up to new all-time highs again. And we got above the 200-day moving average. And that was looking pretty good. That was good to do. Good to see. Okay? However, right? We lost the 200-day moving average. Okay? So what's the deal with that, right? What's the deal with that? Come on, we got to stay above the 200-day moving average. So we lost the 200-day moving average. We came back up. We lost it again, and now we've been hanging out, just hanging around, staying below the 200-day moving average. So I can't be overly bullish on an asset until it gets above the 200-day moving average. So it was nice to see that it was doing that in like May, but now here we are in June and July, and this thing is still below the 200-day moving average. So it's threatening to go back up again, but we gotta do better than this, okay? But maybe you could be catching the lows here, the higher low here on Teller. Teller has been making higher lows. The trend is looking pretty good, right? Ever since April, right? That was the trend right there. And you kind of lost the trend and you're creating like a new trend, right? But you're still making higher lows. Higher lows. And yeah, this thing could be ready to go up to higher prices here. I did have a Fibonacci analysis here. My old Fibonacci tool here, but still useful. 0.236 retracement says that this thing should get some respect at $31.58. Let's see, we came as low as $32.83. So I think this 0.236 retracement level has been respected. And then we just got to get above to the 0.382 at $38.62. And that would be right kind of like where the 200-day moving average is. So I think when this thing does come up to the 200-day moving average, it might get rejected again or just trade sideways. But expect this thing to trade sideways at best at like $38, $39 until we get some more bids and some more excitement. And then, yeah, this thing could get up to the 618 retracement at $50, okay? I think $50 is a level where we were trading at back here in May. Whoever bought back here in May at $50, they're probably going to click the sell button on you when this thing gets up to $50. And then you just got to work your butt off and see if this thing can get up to like $58 and then back to the highs here at like $68, $67 on May 30th. But yeah, those are your levels to play here using just the Fibonacci. And hopefully you guys are able to use the Fibonacci to help you make better trading decisions and figure out the levels here. I do have a video on my Meet Damien YouTube channel. Right, I'm just going to show this channel one more time to you guys on the Meet Damien YouTube channel. If you click on videos, right, you'll see a video here on how to use the Fibonacci tool on TradingView. That's a pretty good tutorial video. It's about 20 minutes long, but I show you how to use it and how to trade with it using the Fibonacci. So if you guys want to learn more, check out the Meet Damien channel on YouTube, and then look for that how to use the Fibonacci tool on TradingView. I also have some other tutorial videos like how to use the volume range visual profile indicator. That's another good one. And then I also have how to read candlestick chart, RSI, MACD, and stochastic RSI for the oscillators. So I do have some tutorial videos on there. And for my buddy that was asking about Proppy, I actually did a video about 7 months ago about Proppy. Okay, you might want to check that one out too. For my TikTok guy, you can come check out my YouTube channel here, where I got all my content, both long form and short form content. All right, let's take a look at Proppy. Okay, we done the downside, upside targets. Teller, you know, if Teller does go down, I expect it to get some more support at $31. If it doesn't, then this could be something wrong with this, and you probably want to get out. You don't want to continue being in this asset if it loses $31. And then you got a lot of upside potential here for Teller, in my opinion. All right, let's look at Proppy. I haven't looked at Proppy in a while. I actually invested in Proppy, you know, 2 years ago. And I'm a little curious to see how it's done. I actually got out of it a little, you know, took profits on it. But let's see. Let's see what Proppy has done since I left it. All right. So Proppy, you know, it did have a pretty stellar performance here on the altcoin season back in March and April of 2024, when Bitcoin made new all-time highs before it even got to the halving in 2024. That was all that excitement from Bitcoin getting an ETF. Bitcoin ETF helped propel the altcoins like Proppy up to higher prices here. We saw Proppy as high as what? $3.98. But right now, Proppy's currently trading at 85 cents. So Proppy made lower highs, lower lows. That's just disappointing to see, because you would think that this thing has a use case, right? With real estate on the blockchain and crypto, you would think like this thing would go to higher prices, not lower prices, right? But that's what it did. So as I start zooming in here, all right, we saw the lows back here in April, where this thing was as low as like 45 cents. So you doubled from April. And you know my opinion about the 200-day moving average, that red line. If you're below that red line, you have to be bearish. And if you're above the red line, the 200-day moving average, you can actually consider being bullish. But yeah, right now Proppy is flirting with it. Okay, it has gone above it back here in May, only to then go below it, then get above it, then below it. And that right now we're still below the 200-day moving average, but 200-day moving average is at 86, 87 cents. Like, we're right there. Just go up like another penny or two, and you can be back above the 200-day moving average on this asset. But you were making, you know, you had a trend, kind of, this is like almost similar to like TRB, right? You had a nice uptrend here, and then you kind of lost it here in June, mainly because of like the events here in the Middle East. Let me just get rid of the moving averages for now. You had a nice uptrend here, and then you lost it because of the events in the Middle East. But you're still making a higher low. You could count that as a higher low, because as long as, you know, you're above these lows here, you're still making higher lows, right? If we continue the downtrend though, then yeah, you're gonna see lower prices here for Proppy, obviously. But I want to see Proppy start making higher highs again. All right, the high that needs to beat first now is probably right here on June 11th. Let's see if we can get above $1.05 on Proppy, and then ultimately you want to get above this high here at $1.20. Get above $1.20, and then we could be talking business here as far as going to higher prices on Proppy. And if we do go to higher prices on Proppy, let's see. I'll turn on the VRVP now. VRVP is showing that once you get past like $1.08, okay, the volume drops off, and you got a high value area high at $1.22. Right, so we have said get past $1.20, and then we can talk business, right, about this thing going to higher prices. And then you got a high volume node after that at like $1.39, $1.40, where people were trading and buying Proppy back in November at $1.40. So those people, they'll be back to break even again. They're probably going to click the sell button on you when it gets to $1.40. And then you got another high volume here at $1.60, where some more people did buy, you know, towards the peak of this little altcoin season that we had in December 2024. You got some people here that are going to probably click the sell button at $1.60. Okay, so those are your take profit. You know, take profit 1 would be $1.20. Then take profit 2 is going to be $1.40, and then take profit 3 is going to be $1.60. And if you get to $1.60, you basically doubled your money on Proppy, and you should be happy, right? You should be selling something, but I'm not a financial advisor. I don't know your personal financial situation. As a disclaimer, I could never know your personal financial situation because I don't know your personal situation, and I'm not trying to be a personal financial advisor. But in my opinion, if I doubled my money, I would sell something. A good rule of thumb is if you sell half of your position after doubling it, now you basically got your money back, and whatever's left over is just you're playing with the house's money. Something to keep in mind. All right, let's take a look at the comments here in TikTok. D2 Miami saying D Pinga, I told you. Okay. And then Idris is having a sad moment here about ZBEC is going down some more. I'm sorry to hear that. And D2 Miami saying he's long term on Proppy. Okay. If I was to get in Proppy, let's see. If I was to get back in the Proppy, let me go ahead and get rid of the VRVP. Look at it like a naked chart now. And if I was excited enough to buy Proppy right now at 85 cents, I'd probably put the stop loss right over here, below this candlewick low at 72 cents. I'd probably put a stop loss at 70 cents. So if this thing loses 70 cents, there's probably something still wrong with it, and I don't want to stick around for that. But yeah, I would be comfortable buying Proppy right now at 85 cents, and then I put the stop loss at 70 cents. And if it goes to 70 cents, I want nothing to do with it. I don't wash my hands of it. I don't want anything to do with it if it can't stay above 70 cents. Gwr018, you're saying where can we expect ZBEC to stop bleeding? All right, we'll take a look at ZBEC again. Let's see. Yep. Alright, so we were looking at ZBEC. If I turn the moving averages, this is where I feel the bleeding could stop for ZBEC. We're getting close, okay? So I know you're worried about ZBEC. I understand that you're worried about ZBEC, but you got the 100-day moving average, which could act as support at 21,873. So we're not that far off. But then you'll get probably even more support at the 200-day moving average, this red line at 18,677. Okay? So I think this thing could come down a little bit further, and if it does, let's just measure that out here. So you're not surprised how much lower it could go on you. But from where we are right now, if we come down to that 200-day moving average, you're looking at we could possibly go down another 21% on ZBEC before we get support. Okay. And if you get the extra cash to buy, and you're still excited about buying ZBEC, then yeah, I would put my buy orders in at that 200-day moving average at 18,600 or 18,700, and then also see if you can get filled at this 100-day moving average at 21,800. But I think these moving averages should help stop the bleeding. Also, you got sideways trading price action here back in like May. Alright, think of all the people that bought ZBEC over here in May, you know, early May, late May 2025. They're still in profit, right? However, if ZBEC comes down to 1800, 1900, they're just going to be back to break even. They're not going to be anxious to sell, okay? Unless we lose, like, if we go down to like 14,000, or yeah, if we go down to 14,000 on ZBEC, then these people over here, they're gonna get anxious and worried, and they're gonna sell their ZBEC on you. So 14,000 is probably like the line in the sand here. You don't want to go lower than that. But I think you're gonna get some support here on the moving averages, right? Because there's other traders and investors that are looking at this asset all over the world, and they're eyeballing that 100-day and 200-day, and that's probably where they're going to be putting in their buy orders in. All right. But yeah, that's unfortunate to see, especially with Bitcoin being at $108,000, $109,000 near all-time highs. You know, why is this thing coming down like that? And I think somebody mentioned in the live stream it's because they lied about their partnerships with who they're partnering with. So That's not good. Being built on lies and lying to people is not. This is what happens, right? This is what happens when and I have to go look it up myself, but yeah, if you're not being honest and transparent with people, then it's not going to be a surprise if this thing comes down. The price comes down on you. You said you bought at 0.009. Oh, so you took a hit. Yeah, so what 0.009 is like wait, how many zeros did you put in there? 3 zeros and then a 9? Oh, okay. So you actually bought lower. You bought like down here. So you're still in profit. But yeah, you're losing your profits right now. I'm sorry to say that. But yeah, that 200-day moving average, I'd be eyeballing that. 0.0018 pennies could be your support level. Be eyeballing that level. See how it reacts. See if it catches some bids, you know, when it gets to that 200-day moving average. All right, guys. Do we have any requests for any other coins here? Idries, if you feel like every time you buy a coin it goes down in price, it might be something that you need to change with your psychology of like when to buy. If you're buying when everybody else is excited about buying the coin, then that's probably not a good time to buy, because who else is gonna continue buying the coin if everybody else is excited? Usually a good time to buy is when everybody's depressed or talking crap about your asset. Because those people that are talking crap and depressed, they're going to be the buyers in the future when the thing actually does go up to higher prices. So you might have to change the way you think about buying and selling. Like right now, I would actually be thinking about buying ZBEC right now because a lot of people are depressed about the price going down right now. That means, you know, if they haven't sold their coins already, who else is left to sell? There's nobody left to sell if they're all depressed and they've already clicked the sell button. There's no more sellers left. You get seller exhaustion is what they call it. Okay? Back here, when things were good for ZBEC, you know, people were excited. People were buying ZBEC, and there was no one left to buy ZBEC because everybody bought ZBEC already. There was buyer exhaustion when you get to high prices like this. And you can kind of identify. Let me go ahead and get rid of yeah, let me get rid of that Fibonacci. But if I show you the oscillators here, right? Let me just clean the chart up a little bit. And I'm gonna get rid of this one and this one. Clean things up here. But let me show you about buyer exhaustion, okay? Using the RSI. If you're buying a coin and the RSI is above 70, you're asking for trouble, okay? Because anytime you're at 70 on the RSI, those are overbought levels. Now, it could continue going higher. It could go to like 80 on the RSI, but now you're really asking for trouble when you're at like 80 or 90 on the RSI. Because look, we got to 90 on the RSI on ZBEC here on May 26th, for those who were paying attention to it at that time. And you immediately, the next day, you got a red candle and you lost 22% the next day, okay? And you can see that the RSI just dropped like a rock after that. But then somebody thought that was a buying opportunity and they bought some more ZBEC, and ZBEC continued being overbought, okay? More buyer exhaustion, okay? And we're still at like 80 and 75 here on the RSI. And then eventually there was no more buyers left, and then we came down. We had buyer exhaustion, and then the RSI just slowly kept coming down here. Then we started going sideways, and it was when you're in an RSI of like 40 or 50, you're in neutral territory. There's buyers and sellers out there. But then, you can see that we actually was making lower highs here on the RSI. and the sellers took over. But now you're starting to get down to RSI's. RSI right now is at 31.68. RSI below 30 is considered oversold. So we're getting close to being oversold on ZBEC. And this is the time when you want to start buying. Any asset below 30 on the RSI is usually a good time to start buying if you're bullish and you want to take a chance on that asset. 30 RSI or lower, usually a good time to start buying at the, you know, when you see the daily time frame and the RSI is below 30. RSI below 30. You might want to take a chance and actually consider buying, because there's probably no more sellers left. Like, sellers are done. They've already sold. Who else is left to sell? Okay. But yeah, this thing, I think it could come down to the moving averages, right? I think it could come down to the 100-day or the 200-day. Right now, I'd be trying to see if I could get filled at that 100-day moving average at 2,180 on ZBET. And if it comes lower, even better. I'll try to see if I get filled at 18,600. And then I just put the stop loss at like 17,000. Yeah, why not? Hey, Jim. Let's see what Jim has to say about ZBEC. Jim is saying that we had a parabolic move to the 786 that coincides with the top of the previous consolidation range. Very healthy. And you like the project. Right around that 0.002 area. Yeah, I think we might be getting some support here off the moving averages at that 0.002 area. But Jim's very familiar with how to use the Fibonacci and using the indicators and oscillators here. I'm glad to see that you're paying attention to these things here, Jim. Maybe Jim will start a YouTube channel and start showing people how to trade and invest. Yeah, I know it's a little bit disheartening to see ZBET going down, especially with Bitcoin like almost like $3,000 or $4,000 from its all-time high. But I think you'll get a pity bounce or a dead cat bounce. And the level that I'm eyeballing, if it does go up to higher prices, is I'm eyeballing this 0.0037 penny level here. I put a red line there. It was a line where the candle wick you got some body closes and openings at that level, and over here you got some candle wick lows here at that level. So I think this is a level that people were eyeballing, and you'll probably see people clicking the sell button when it gets back up to 0.0037 pennies here. Thank you, Jim. Thank you for the kind words. Let's see what do we got here from my TikTok guys. Idris, I just answered your if I was to buy ZBEC, I would buy it. I mean, I'd probably buy a little bit of it right now, you know. We got a nice solid red candle here. But I would also be trying to buy it at that 100-day moving average at 21,800. Okay, I would try to buy ZBEC where that blue line is at. And then I would probably buy some more at that red line. Okay. Do I think it can recover? Possibly. I think the bleeding will stop when we get to that red line, definitely. At least temporarily, and then we'll have to see what it does after that. But if Bitcoin's going to all-time highs, that should help give it, you know, some more of a recovery. But yeah, I have to look into the story. I heard that someone said that they got caught lying about their partnerships, so that's probably why you're getting these red candles showing up on the daily chart. And we're still going down as I'm talking. Jeez. Brian says the smart buyers will step in. Yep. And Brian says, buy when others are scared and sell when the hype is there. Yep, that's usually a good way to play sentiment. Market sentiment. That's one way to play it. D2 Miami is asking about H-bar. And then Brian says Solana. Alright, we'll take a look at Solana and then we'll look at H-bar. Appreciate the request. Yeah, Jim, you have to let me know what your research is about ZBEC if you get a chance to look at it. Someone said that they got caught lying. All right, let's take a look at the Solana. Solana currently trading at $152, up 3.4% today. Look at the daily chart for Solana. I got some previous chart work here. Solana was in a falling wedge, which falling wedges, they usually break out to the upside, and we got a little bit of that breakout to the upside action here in late June and early July. Solana is just currently riding this green line here. This 50-day moving average sitting at $148.49 is where you get some support for Solana. And if Solana does catch some bids and go up to higher prices, it's probably going to get rejected off this 200-day moving average sitting at $165 right now, which is a same level. You got a candle body close here on June 10th at $165.59. So I'm expecting Solana to probably get sold at $165. People will click the sell button on you. But get above the 200-day moving average, and then we can start talking business here. And get above that $165. Actually, get above $168, which is where that candlewick high close. I'm sorry, candlewick high on June 11th. Get above that, and it could be off to the races for Solana. You might get some previous resistance. You got resistance probably at $180 up to $187, which is where this candlewick high is at. But yeah, I think $165 on the upside for Solana is where you're gonna get resistance until you can prove that you can actually get above this 200-day moving average and stay above it. We tried to get above the 200-day moving average back here in May, but we only did that for like one day and then we got rejected. And then we tried to do it here and we couldn't even close above it on May 23rd. So this 200-day moving average is acting like a big bully, just pushing us back into the locker and locking us up and telling us that, you know, we'll never see $200 Solana again. But yeah, I think this 200-day moving average, we get past that bully, and then you'll see $200 Solana probably later on this year. Oh, yeah, Solana is actually one of my biggest spot bags too, so I want to see Solana go up to higher prices here. But if it doesn't, right, we still have this previous Fibonacci analysis here, and right now Solana is currently trading near that 618 fib node at $152. But if we lose it, you know, we could probably come down to $141 Solana. The 0.5 retracement, or even the deeper retracement at the 0.236 at $117. That would be very brutal to see. But those would be your downside targets on Solana. $117, around that area. We almost came down that low here on June 22nd. It came down to $126. So those are your downside targets for Solana. All right, let's look at H-bar from my buddy D2 Miami. H-bar currently trading at 15 cents, almost 16 cents, up 2.36% today. Zooming out, H-bar has seen better days, just like a lot of these other altcoins. back in the end of December, going into January. Lower highs, lower lows. Are we bottoming out here? I see that we had sort of a bottom here in April. We got as low as like 12.5 cents here. And then back here in June 22nd, we got as low as 12.5 cents again. So this, you could identify this as a double bottom. And if we do count this as a bottom and we go up to higher prices, then you got some moving averages that could act as resistance. You got the 50-day sitting at 17 cents, 100-day sitting at 18.5 cents, and 200-day sitting at 21 cents. So you make this like a take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3 if you're day trading or swing trading this thing. And let me turn on the VRVP, see what VRVP has to say now. You got a point of control, this blue line, highest volume node, sitting at like 16.168 cents to be exact. Get past that, you got a gap in the VRVP, and then you'll probably see some resistance at 19 cents, which is where a good amount of people bought back in May here. But you can see that these high volume nodes kind of line up where the moving average is at, right? We said the moving average, I would probably start selling at 17 cents. That's right where the point of control is at, okay? And then, what? We said that maybe the 100-day moving average will sell at 18.5 cents. That's kind of like where this high volume node is at like 19 cents. So like 18.5, 19 cents. And then you got the 200-day moving average at 21 cents. I mean, 21 cents. I mean, by the time you get up to 21 cents, this 200-day moving average is probably going to come down to 19 cents. So I think, yeah, just using the VRVP, 17 cents and 19 cents is going to be your first take profit and your second take profit. But get past 19 cents and then it's off to the races, and this thing could possibly go up to 26 cents. We got the value area high sitting there. And then you can see that this white line, this value area high, kind of like sits right where some of these candlewick lows and body closes were at back here in December. Anybody who bought H-bar in December, they're probably going to be back to break even when this thing gets up to 26 cents. And they're going to click the sell button on you just to say that they got out and they didn't lose any money. Alright, let's see what my buddy Jim here is saying. Jim, you're saying you're curious to see if the project is legitimate this time. Okay, you would be curious to see how the market will react to a return to pre-90s interest rate movements. Minor fluctuations and cuts and hikes. Market seems to be healthier based on the SPX. Okay. And if they cut aggressively like Trump wants, you expect the news to dump with it. Could be immediate, could be a lag in reaction. Yeah, I'm not sure how the market's going to play. In my opinion, expect volatility this week. We could come down pretty hard in the markets if we don't get any trade deals on Monday and Tuesday. So I'm looking for trade deals on Monday and Tuesday. And this could also affect crypto, but it's definitely going to affect the stock market if we don't get those trade deals, in my opinion, on Monday and Tuesday. Some more trade deals tomorrow and Tuesday. The deadline is Wednesday for the trade deals, and Trump is over here talking about raising tariffs on some of these countries to like 70%. That's going to kill the markets. That's going to kill the market. We could have a really bad day in crypto and stock market if Trump goes back and says that we're going to do 70% tariffs and increase tariffs on everybody to like 20 or 30% for other countries. So just get ready to click the sell button if you have to. Okay. I wouldn't put any more money than what you need. You know, any money that you have in the markets is money that you don't need. But if you need money now, might be Monday or Tuesday might be a good time to get out, and then you could always go back in again if we get some good news here. But I am worried about Wednesday. I think Wednesday might be Liberation Day 2.0. And we saw what happened on Liberation Day, you know, the first Liberation Day, which was like April 2nd, right? April 2nd, we saw Bitcoin trading as low as like $80,000. I'm looking at the Bitcoin chart right now. And then, you know, we had a bad Sunday here where we saw Bitcoin go down to $77,000. And then Trump changed his mind on Wednesday, April 9th here. And he's like, oh, we're doing a 90-day pause on tariffs, but Bitcoin got as low as like 74 grand before before we got that pause on tariffs. Like, the market was looking like we were about to tank. You know how you guys felt on April? That could happen again here in July. And I'm a little bit worried about that. I think that's the reason why Bitcoin's not able to get above 110,650 is because some of the smart money investors out there that are paying attention to the tariff situation, they're also worried, what is Trump going to do on Wednesday if we don't get trade deals on Monday and Tuesday here. So put your stop losses in, have a game plan. You know, if you need this money now, maybe start taking some of it out. If you got crypto, you can sell it right now. And if you got stocks, you can sell on Monday and Tuesday. But I'm actually thinking about trimming some of my positions here, because I just don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday and Wednesday with the trade deals. Yeah. Jim saying that tariffs are flip bullish in Q2. Curious to see if it holds true. Fake outs are annoying. You could see tariffs heating up, aligning with a surprise cut. Nice little dump. And then Bitcoin going to touch base with the 95K level would be a capitulation event. Final touch of the wedge. Then Q3 heats up. Yeah, I just don't know how it's going to play out, Jim. But because the markets are up and Bitcoin's near all-time highs, I'm worried that we might actually do come down if trade deals and tariffs become an issue this week. So I am wary. I am cautiously optimistic, but I'm also a little bit worried about tariff situation becoming an issue again. Mike Bassett says, you think we go down until September where we'll bottom out? Okay. Possibly. And then Trey's got a question here. If you make a funded account, how much would you recommend putting in to start? I can't give financial advice, Trey. Only put in money into your trading account and your investment account, money that you can afford to lose and you won't lose sleep over, and you're still able to pay your bills. Make sure you have enough money to pay your bills before you start investing and trading. If you're not able to pay your bills, then you need to fix that situation first before you start trading and investing. But yeah, whatever money you can start with is, starting and investing and trading. It's always good to start sooner rather than later, because time in the market always beats timing the market. But I know here on this channel, we try to do trading and we try to do a little bit of day trading sometimes, and we are trying to time the market, or at least study the market to figure out whether we're bullish or bearish and where the bullish and bearish price targets might be. But I hope that helps you out. I know when I got started investing in my younger days, I just put whatever I could. I think I started with when I had a couple of grand, I started, when I was 18 years old. Because I was making more money than I was spending. I worked all my life, all my adult life, I was very interested in working as soon as I turned 18. and I just took my savings and I put it into investments, and I think I had like $5,000 when I started. I put whatever I could. A couple of grand when I first started, then 3 grand, then 4, then 5 grand, and then I was investing in stocks at the time when I was 18 years old. There was no crypto at the time, and I think I bought Boeing because I knew about Boeing, and I bought Google back then, and some other companies as well as like some of my first few stocks. What are you talking about here, Jim? Solar Maximus would be a convenient excuse to dump if the media takes a big deal. What is a Solar Maximus? Tell me, what are you talking about here, Jim? Are we gonna have like a solar flare or something? Some solar flares? Jim says you started with 10K and you think you should have stuck with 1K. People usually suggest 10K because returns provide gratification, but you can also lose 10K overnight. Yeah. So just, when you first start off in your trading and investment journey, just know that you're probably going to lose some money first before you start making money. Once you continue to learn and become a better trader and investor and understand how to control your emotions and not sell the lows and not buy the highs, you want to flip-flop that. You want to buy the lows and then sell the highs. Then you'll start becoming more profitable as an investor and trader, and you'll start making money. But I would expect, don't be surprised if you lose, especially if you get into a stock or an asset in the beginning. It might go down a little bit on you. You might get lucky where you buy the bottom and then just goes up as soon as you click the buy button. But especially in the first few days, first few hours and days and even weeks, you could see your asset that you buy go down on you, and you don't want to panic. You just got to wait until the investment gathers more attention and more money, and then you'll be able to sell at a higher price than what you bought it at. But yeah, I think we're getting close to the end of the live stream. Unless you guys have more questions here or another coin for me to look at, I kind of want to end the live stream and get on with the rest of my day here. We've been live for about an hour and a half here. D2 Mamby wants to look at XDC. Okay. All right. We'll take a look at XDC. Appreciate the requesting. Guys, don't forget to hit the follow button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the Meet Damien channel yet, where we talk about crypto a lot here. We also talk about stocks and the stock market. But the stock market's not trading right now. But if you guys did have requests for stocks, I will look at them as well. Let's take a look at XDC. Currently trading at 6 cents right now. And yeah, just like a lot of these other old coins, everything is like down compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's like the only thing that's actually going up, unfortunately. Some of these old coins and meme coins, they have their 5 minutes of fame or whatever, 15 minutes of fame, and they'll have their moments where they're in the spotlight. But yeah, this coin making low highs, low lows. It's got to change the trend. The trend needs to be higher lows and higher highs. Okay. Well, yeah. Let's see. We topped out here. It looks like April 29th. We got as high as like 8 cents, 0.083 pennies to be exact. And then we made another lower high here on May 9th at 0.079 pennies. And then we made another lower high here at 0.069 pennies. So now I want to see if we are going to start an uptrend. We got to get above this last lower high here. Get above 0.069 pennies, and we can start talking business that we're actually going to be going up to higher prices here. Let me go ahead and throw in the moving averages here, see what the moving averages have to say. Moving averages, 50-day moving average could act as resistance at 0.067 pennies. 100-day moving average could act as resistance at 7 pennies. And then the boss bully is going to be the 200-day moving average sitting at the 0.077 pennies. So you do have some resistance levels. You can make this your take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3 if you're day trading or swing trading this asset here. But I think you can game plan, right? You can put your stop loss. This thing came as low as 0.055 pennies here. Put your stop loss below that, maybe at 0.054 or 0.053. And you're just, if you're long in this thing, you're just hoping that this thing continues going up to higher prices, clears through this lower high, and hopefully can get up to like some of the prices that we saw back here in early May when this thing was at like 7 or 8 cents. And that's going to put you right where the 200-day moving average is. So take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3 on your moving averages here. And I think, you know, if put your stop loss at like 0.054 pennies, and you want nothing to do with this asset if it goes below that, because if it goes below that, there's something wrong. We're probably still in a downtrend, and we're probably gonna still head to lower prices, unfortunately. And you got like kind of like a bleed out. This thing's been bleeding out, but maybe this could be the higher low that you're looking for on the daily and especially on the weekly time frame. Let's look at the weekly time frame. This is what the weekly chart looks like. Could this possibly be the higher low that you're looking for at 0.054 pennies? Maybe. But you have tremendous upside if you do go to the upside on this asset. You could double your money if this thing gets back to where it was in January, trading at like 13 cents. And that'd be nice. If you double your money, not financial advice, but I would click the sell button and sell something. You don't have to sell all of it, but I would sell something if you double your money. All right, so that's XDC. And then Jim just made one last comment here. Investing based on the 4 hour is also really simple. If you want to average into a position, wait till it's oversold, watch for divergence, buy in. Yep, Jim knows how to trade and invest. Jim's been in it for a while. All right, you're welcome, D2 Miami. I'm glad you appreciate the live stream and my analysis here. All right. You know, I'll even do one bigger analysis for you on here. Let's see what the Fibonacci has to say. If we do the candlewick high down to, where's my fib? Give me my fib. Candlewick high from like 15 cents down to where we were trading at like 2 cents here. Yeah, I mean, you're at the 0.236 retracement, right? Currently at the 0.236 retracement at XDC. 0.0589 pennies. If this does not hold, then there's something clearly wrong with this asset, and you don't want to stick around. But 0.236 retracement, you're really taking it to the deepest retracement that you possibly could do on this asset. So you might be catching the bottom here on XDC. And then you can just ride this thing up to higher prices, and most likely this thing will try to get back up to the 618. 618 is currently at 10 pennies, almost 11 pennies here. So, and if you get up to like 10 or 11 pennies, you're almost doubling, but that's a pretty good solid gain if it gets up to that level here. All right, let's go back to Bitcoin one more time, and then I'll be out. So just a quick review on Bitcoin. Right, going into the daily time frame here, Bitcoin was in a downtrend. At least the highs here, we're showing that we're making lower highs. We got above that here on July 2nd. Got a little bit excited here on July 3rd. However, we still made a lower high on July 3rd compared to where we were on June 9th here, where Bitcoin was at 110,650. I highlighted this area at 110,650 as this red line. We have to get above that. If we get above that, it's off to the races. Bitcoin will then try to challenge that $112,000 all-time high again. If we come up and we get rejected, that could be really bad news, and we could go to lower prices. However, if we just continue going lower right now, then I think Bitcoin could get some support at 105,000. It's not going to be completely bad news, but $105,000, right? If we look at the VRVP, it's where we have a point of control, that blue line. You have a lot of people that bought Bitcoin at $105,000 over the last few weeks here. They'll just be back to break even. But if we lose $105,000 on Bitcoin, then yeah, we'll probably see maybe $102,000 Bitcoin all over again. And then we'll just have to see where it goes after that. If we lose 102, then yeah, then we're going to see Bitcoin go below 100K. And then, you know, like my buddy Jim here says, we could see 95K. And 95K would be with a 200-day moving average. It's actually right now at 96K. So 96K is where the 200-day moving average is at. And also 50-day moving average is at 98K. I would actually expect, believe it or not, I would expect this candle wick low here and also the 50-day moving average probably get respected at 98.7K. Could be where we get a reversal if Bitcoin does come down to those low prices. All right. But yeah, that's your Bitcoin in a nutshell, right? Get above 110,650 and we could be making new all-time highs. I'm not sure how high, but I think previously I have said 120, 130K Bitcoin seems to be what the Fibonacci levels have been saying. But that's going to be it for this live stream, guys. Be on the lookout for my live streams. I usually go live between 12 p.m. Eastern time, anywhere between 12 to like 6 p.m. Eastern time. I usually do the afternoons, okay? So yeah, that's going to be it for this live stream. And just, you know, be on the lookout for the next one. My TikTok guys, you can find me on Twitter, the Meet Damien Twitter. You'll know when I go live. I usually post like an hour before I go live. You'll see me posting up on Twitter, okay? And then also there's a Meet Damien Discord that I also post when I'm going to go live on my videos here. Be on the lookout for Meet Damien on the Discord. It's a free Discord to join. I don't charge. And yeah, if you're looking for the link and you're on TikTok, just send me a message saying, "Hey Damien, can I get the link for the invite to the Meet Damien server?" And we'll get you in. And my YouTube guys, the link should be in the description, but you can also, you know, put in the comments that you're looking for the Discord. And then you'll know when I go live, because I usually post up when I'm going live. Like today, I posted up I'm going live 12 p.m. Eastern time. So that's how you'll be able to follow me. And also interact with me on the Discord. Okay? But until then, you know, on the next live stream, you know, until then, good luck trading and investing in whatever asset you decide to get into. Take care, guys.
Of castles flowing down from our hands, and when the last fragment is finally lost, we'll be adding up what all our lives cost. Take turns tonight, the seasons change, we're bound on this wheel. tied up in frivolity, fighting endless wars for trivialities. We must have lost our way many centuries before.